pencil case.
Yeah, that's
okay. Yeah. So in addition, instead of envelopes, he uses one of those 3-ring binders that elementary school kids use to keep their erasers and pencils in, and he slides the money into there. We also have an agenda at each meeting, and right on the agenda, it's got the date and all on there as to how much you collected, and keep that little folded up piece of agenda paper in with the receipt. It's just more and more records. You're going to get a bank statement in the mail, hopefully every month, or at least online. I recommend that when you open the account with the bank, you tell them you want to cut off the last day of the month. If you don't tell them, the statement will come off on the 12th or the 18th or the 10th, because they don't want all the statements going out at one time. But if you request it in your business, they have to honor your last day of the month cutoff.
Question. I've heard references to people in different situations that they would take the money that they collect for that meeting and just deposit it in their own account and transfer electronically into the club account.
Now, that doesn't meet the ethical standards of lines.
Exactly.
Yeah, does not meet ethical standards of lines. And if that's the only way they can do it, they shouldn't be treasurer.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
A lot of things are electronic anymore. If any of you have been to my previous seminars, you might remember I had a little booklet called How to Stay Out of Jail and Be a Lines Treasurer, or something like that. And I had that electronically saved, and then gee whiz, we moved our office, we changed our whole operating system. We had the IT company come in, and guess what? I don't have it anymore. My recommendation is that in addition to any electronic records you save some paper copy. So if you're a treasurer over a number of years, you're going to have all those banker boxes full of records. If perchance, heaven forbid, your house should catch on fire, grab that box and run out. Come back and get your children and your spouse.
in that order.
In that order. Okay. So keep a log. The more you write down, the more you can refer back to later. Our memories, whether we're younger or older, are not that good. As I said, keep that. And other treasurers do this too. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just hard to keep track of. Gee, we're at the meeting. We collected $46. We have a guest speaker. We're going to buy the breakfast. Let's take $10 out and buy the breakfast. You can do that. The way I did it when I was treasurer is I would pay for the speaker's breakfast out of my own pocket with a credit card, get the receipt, and then get reimbursed. And someone else sign the check for that speaker's breakfast. I've got the agenda there, so we had a speaker. I wrote it in my logbook, they bought the breakfast, it's $12 or whatever. And then I have a record, I have a check that it shows up in my system that says we have speaker's breakfasts, and that's on my budget. We're going to have a budget for speaker's breakfasts. So if we should do this exchange of cash at the meeting, those records are not going to be as evident. So recommend that you do that, not required. If you're a really good record keeper, you can do the first method is make a note in your logbook. And what you're doing is you're saying we had more revenue than I put in the bank because we spent part of it before we got to the bank. And I would prefer not to do that personally. Okay. We talked about giving donors a receipt for their donations. If you're a charitable foundation, and that's a requirement, if the donation is $250 or more, it should be a best practices to do it no matter what the donation. I mean, not $1 or $2. Or someone gives you a check for $100. It's best practices to send them that letter. It's not required by law. Your canceled check is a receipt. All they have to do is prove where they gave the check to the charitable foundation. And that's all discoverable online. If you want to see if someone's a charitable foundation, they're all listed online. All million, around 100,000, 200,000, they're all listed there. And if they're no longer in good graces, you can find that out in the state of California. You can go up on their website, Secretary of State, and see if they're in good standing or not. So, by the way, within our district, we have a couple of other organizations that also have to follow these rules. Rick, you're very involved in the A.J. Robinson Foundation. It's a separate charitable foundation, not sponsored by a club. It's a district-approved organization, and they actually have assets. Most Lions clubs don't have an asset. This club, their club has a table and chair. Our club meets at Denny's. We don't own anything at Denny's. We don't own anything at Denny's. Our foundation will consist of papers, and that's all we have. We have no assets except Lions River casinos.
Yeah.
Wherever I was going with that point,
We've done it.
Great. I believe the county requires if the club has assets that they have to fill out an inventory.
Yeah, so yeah, there's an annual filing, 571-L for regular businesses, I think it is also. And that's, as of December 31st, what was the original cost and what year did you buy it in? And there is a tax associated with that. Also, if you have supplies, that's supposed to be in there. They don't require that you put registered vehicles in that report because they collect their tax from the DMV. Okay? Just movable assets. You don't have, if you go to a clubhouse, you don't have to put that in either. They got you already on the APN rolls that the county assessor does. Okay. Okay, let's talk about raffles. I've mentioned the word probably 10 times since I've been up here. Our club, every week, we assign somebody to bring 6 or 7 raffle gifts in worth $5 to $7. Spread them out from the table. We sell tickets for $2. And at the end of the meeting, we draw out the winning tickets. We're not collecting any money from the public. If we have a guest in our meeting, we give them a raffle ticket. We don't charge them. That keeps us within the rule. And so that raffle is considered a 501c4 club event, not subject to the general rules of the charitable raffle. We're not collecting any money from the general club, and that's fine. Now, let's say you're going to sell tickets, $100 each, and you might win a car. I think there's a club that does that, or $10,000 each every each. That raffle has to be sanctioned by the Secretary of State of California, has to be registered, and the prize, the cost of the prize to the club cannot exceed 10% of the revenue generated. You can't say I'm going to buy a car for $20,000 and sell $30,000 worth of raffle tickets. We're going to make 10 grand. Yeah, you'll make 10 grand. That's illegal unless you get it sanctioned, registered with the Secretary of State. I don't think they were sanctioned. If the car is donated by a local dealership, it costs you nothing. Raffle it off. Legal raffle. Just your raffle prizes costs. And that doesn't include the cost of a venue or a meal that's in conjunction with the reveal. So that's specific rules on raffles. You can find those on the website. The Secretary of State talks about what you can and cannot do in California as a charitable organization. And I listed that also in my references. It's I don't remember how many pages it is, but it's listed in my references here. Okay, so who is the general public? I throw an event, and my neighbors and you guys know, and come in and we collect money from them for a charitable purpose. They're the general public. In my club over here, so those raffle tickets, we're not the general public. We're members of the club. We pay dues and we can do this. All right. How about Ron, like Linda, or another club comes in and they buy a raffle ticket from us. They're the general public. They're not lions in the sense of my club's responsibility. I am subject to all the rules of the general public, even if it's a Lions only event, as long as if there are Lions other than my Lions Club. Now, the district puts it on, it's different. We're all members of the district. But if my Lions Club puts on an event, and you invite people from other Lions clubs, they are the general public for charitable rules. Okay? Usually, you don't have to worry about spouses of members. That's all considered the same household. Unless they prenup, I'm not going to ask. Okay. Okay.
So is there a way that you can add like a one-day Lion type setup?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
Do you have insurance to cover you in case you're wrong? No. Okay. So that's another thing I want to mention, insurance. We have a certain amount of insurance for events that we put on by Lions Club International. And there's actually a tab for insurance. You can go on the website and see what it covers. We're going to cover everything. So one thing it doesn't cover, I don't believe, are the acts of the officers on the board of directors of your club. If your club gets sued, your board of directors may be subject to personal liability without director's insurance. They might want to look into whether you think you're at risk enough to need that. So if I'm putting on a skydiving adventure, I might want some extra insurance. If I'm just selling a bottle of water that's all sealed and came from the sun, I'm not going to worry too much about it. I don't worry about poison in the sun sealed water. Okay. Or somebody choking in the cat. Right, the insurance blue. Yeah. Okay,
Right.
sorry. Yes.
Yeah, the end thing is if there's alcohol involved in the event, it's always a good idea to get supplementary.
Yeah, we're saying if there's alcohol involved in the event, it's a good idea to get some extra insurance to cover that. If somebody leaves the event, gets in an accident, it could reflect back on their consumption at your event. When you're serving alcohol at an event, you have a lot of things to worry about. You have age, ID requirements, all kinds of things. So many events we go to have alcohol as a part of the fundraiser. Many times it's just a mixed set of drinks, margaritas, a pitcher or something, and that's different than selling a bottle of beer with a cap on it. Yes.
Doesn't LCI require that you get separate insurance for if you're serving alcohol, otherwise it
I think
voids
that's what
their
Rick was saying.
insurance?
The
Yes.
LCI insurance doesn't cover everything, and
Right.
notable exceptions.
Yeah, but it also voids the
It
LCI.
does. It excludes it. It's a total
Yeah.
exclusion.
It's an
Yeah.
exclusion. There's also risk to health exclusions, risk to life exclusions.
It just muddies the water, you know, because even if somebody didn't have a drink and you're serving alcohol and they trip over a 2x4 and break their leg and then sue you for negligence, if you're serving alcohol, that adds that
Usually,
element in there.
usually in minor injury accidents, people have their own health insurance, and usually the amount of the damages aren't significant enough to hire a lawyer and go to court. But then again, if somebody cracks a spine and paralyzed the rest of their life, there's a thin line between that happening and just somebody scraping their knee on the ground, getting up and walking away. So always be over cautious. Let me go through a couple do's and don'ts. And then we're gonna-
One thing is that,
Yes, sir.
what about, that only applies when you sell the liquor? Or for you asking, I mean, even though you serve it, or you're asking for donations, you're not charging for it?
I don't think it has anything to do with whether you're asking for donations or not. If you're putting on an event and you are selling alcohol, or you are providing alcohol as part of a meal, or that
The rules apply.
that insurance, you're not covered by LCI insurance, and you should have some kind of a policy. And Judy, you were in the insurance industry for a long time. What kind of policies are available for organizations? Are they one-day policies or
You
a
can
whole
get,
year?
you can get a one-day event.
One-day policy.
You have to
So, and certain
Thank you.
fine lines to go. I'm over at Fiacro's house for a board meeting, and everybody brought a bottle of wine, and I really drank too much. And on the way home, I went over the curb and ran into somebody's house and tore up their living room. Is that my fault, or is it Fiacro's fault? Did they let me drink too much? Is it a Lions Club event? Are they liable? Everybody knows that the wall takes strange turns and twists, and nobody really wants to go down those roads. Always best to be prudent. If there's any question about it, serve apple juice instead of wine. Just be insured when you can. I have a couple of do's and don'ts I want to go over, and then we'll take some time. Yes?
I was going to also say, if you're having an event where you are selling alcohol, then you are also required to have a liquor license for the day.
I said, permits and licenses are always nail that down before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Every server now has to have a server's card.
yeah.
And even if you're banning somebody, because you have most events now, you have to be banded, prove that you checked an ID card. They also have to have that server card in
Right, you have to
possession.
be trained on how to verify ID, and then you have to have that
Yeah.
person verified on the premises of the event.
And where do you get that?
So again, I don't
Training
want to
online.
details of liquor licenses, we're trying to handle finances here, but be aware that your liability. Okay, do's and don'ts, and it's where I got tired and didn't do a lot of them, so let's add some if we can. Do, utilize all available resources, let's see the websites here. The TFA is the California Governing Authority. Okay, notify LCI of a new foundation formation. Remember, you have to have their approval to use the name Lions. Do, ask for help from other Lions, from attorneys, from LCI. Do, be business-like and transparent with all financial activities. There are no secrets. from your club or from your board, or that the treasurer should have from anybody, and be business like. Do file all tax-related forms timely and request extension of time to file if needed. Keep current. It's easy to record the activity weekly. It's hard to remember what happened a month ago. Do communicate often with your club secretary on dues, donations in, and donations out that you're supporting other organizations. Create a budget for the year and get it approved by your board. Do maintain excellent records of income and expenses. Do be an active club member and attend all board meetings. So as treasurer, you have a responsibility to be at the board and to answer those questions that may come up about finances and make your formal revenue report. Do consider insurance for events and for board members. We just talked about that. Do try to maintain a permanent mailing address. There's another problem. B, all the mail used to go to Joe's, our treasurer, for 5 years. He died. And I think the estate sold his house. I don't know where the records are going now. I have no change of address. So our club pays for and rents a P.O. box. We've had it for how many years, right? 30 years, 40 years. Same P.O. box. And so all of our stuff comes to P.O. box. It costs us $120 a year or whatever it is. It's worth it. You've got consistency. 3 people should have keys to it in case 2 of them are out of town. It's also where your uses your return address on your letterhead and any other correspondence you have with vendors or other organizations. So the thank yous will come in through that box, the bills will come in through that box, the bank statements or the bank notifications, whatever you get should come in through that box. Secretary should always have a key. Treasurer, not necessarily, but the president and secretary should always have a key. There should be one member who seems to always be around, who's trustworthy, been a member of the club for a long time, as a backup. All right, the one who doesn't go to certain events, they're always there. Okay. Don't forget you're a trusted member and you are handling other people's money. This is not your money. It belongs to other people, and that makes you a much more responsibility-bearing person. You are a fiduciary, to use a legal term. That means you are working on someone else's behalf, and it's for their best interests that you put first, not your own. So that many times it's a club, or it could be a donor. Okay. Don't forget that a late or ignored tax filings may bear substantial penalties. Don't mix or commingle welfare or foundation money with club money. Keep them separate accounts. And don't charge the welfare account an administrative fee for handling their events. We talked about that first off. 10% rule. It's not even a rule, it's a 10% misnomer. Okay. That's my basic presentation. The next 2 pages are blank. I hope you took some notes. And are there questions? Let's see. You got 2 questions.
Okay. According to LCI, I believe, it was one of the classes I took, it suggested that the club treasurer put in place the club budget in the spring of the year for the following year, so that it is in place when the next year begins. But I didn't see anything in that particular training on how you manage that budget, or if there's an audit against the budget at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's an individual club choice as to whether they audit it or not. Our district in their bylaws says we will audit or review the activities of the cabinet treasurer and the convention chair, convention treasurer. Each club could either add that to their bylaws or exempt it from their bylaws. And doing the budget in the spring is a recommendation, it's not a requirement. Sometimes clubs want to see how the year ends up before they make the next budget. That puts them right after June 30 to the 4th of July budget preparation process. If your year is really competitive, year, you can do those in advance. You can also adjust the budget throughout the year with approval of the board of directors. So let's say you're expected every year the same person gave you $10,000, and this year they give you $10,000. You find out they got upset because nobody said, well, thank you letter last year. Whoops, you have to revise that budget because we know we're not getting that $10,000. Okay, you can all revise budgets. Budgets are guesses, they're educated guesses. The more information you have, the better educated guesses you have. Linda.
I don't know if I missed this part, but do you recommend 3 signers? I mean, how many signers do you
Yeah,
recommend?
you missed that part, and we have to cover it again. The banks don't honor more than one signature per check
No, I don't mean that. I'm signing on checks. I mean on the account.
on the account.
So like we have president,
It's
secretary,
almost on a
treasurer.
card. It's the same thing as the key to the PO box. It's very
Yeah.
confidential and sensitive information, and you can't put it all in the hands of one person.
Correct.
So yeah, there should be 3 signers, in my opinion, on the account. Again, should be the club treasurer, club secretary, and the club president.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Those cards that change every year, but the account doesn't change. Remember, you need a federal tax ID number to open an account. If you don't continue on with the previous account, you want to change banks, big hassle. If you want to do it for convenience, that's okay. Other questions? Yes, Rick?
I think I found QuickBooks real helpful in keeping organized and keeping able to get your tax information done.
Yeah, let me speak to that. There are off-the-shelf finance management programs, one called Quicken, that don't even bother. Don't bother with Quicken. For a
What?
few dollars more, get QuickBooks.
Mm. Mm.
My recommendation. I work with these things every day.
I know.
And
And
you may have a preference for Quicken.
I know, but if you don't know bookkeeping, it's like writing on a check register and
So is
categorizing.
QuickBooks. QuickBooks is like writing a check.
I know, but I remember I started off with QuickBooks and I used to, it's double entry. So sometimes I'd have to put a minus in front and I could never get my brain wrapped around that, so.
Then my recommendation is use what works best for you, and that other people can obviously discern what activities have occurred by looking at your records. Whether they're handwritten, whether they're Quicken, whether they're QuickBooks, or whether there's some real fancy Peachtree accounting system. It doesn't, there's no rule or requirement other than that you maintain adequate records. And adequate records mean that someone else can read them and discern what happened. And again, strong recommendation, you have a July 1 to June 30 year. Anybody else with questions? We run a little over an hour. I wouldn't have believed I could talk that long without people throwing tomatoes at me. I thank you for your attention and your good questions. And hopefully we'll get somebody involved in this activity next year that can give you a new face. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you all for being here. Please don't forget to sign the attendance sheet or you haven't done it. Linda, I don't think you signed up. And Lani, you didn't sign up. I will. Okay.
Just user announcement, anybody who needs directories or pins, we have those with us today.